All right.
Wonderful. And is there a capability to give me presenter access? Looks like I can click a button, but let
Yep,
me try.
you should be able to present.
Okay. Well, wonderful. I'm going to do that here in a second. Again, really appreciate everybody's time. It's good to see everyone's faces. I know that you guys are busy, and so we're going to try to keep this under an hour today. And certainly, I do want to just leave the floor open at all times for questions. So if there's at any point anyone has a question or just needs clarification, or just wants to have some more discussion on a specific point, please feel free to jump in. So let me give the presenting a try here. I've got a couple different windows I want to share, but I'll share this one first. And give me just a second. It looks like it's ready to go. Perfect. Can everyone see that? Okay, great. So just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a background and then an overview of what we're going to do today. Collins has contracted with my company, CV360, to provide services for you guys in the realm of compliance. And so our compliance solution is essentially basically what we do is we provide driving and walking inspection services and software that allows you as managers to view inspections that we capture footage on. And then we upload that footage to our software, and then you're able to create any number of notices within our software and our backend. And when I say notices, that includes, your standard violation notices, as well as landscape and maintenance work orders. So that's kind of what's unique about what we do, is that we've got quite a bit of different variety of functionality. And so today, what I want to do is give a brief training on the software aspect. So what we're going to look at here is our overview, which is essentially the topics we want to try to highlight today. And what we're going to do is I'm going to pop my screen over momentarily and show you, give you a glimpse into what the software looks like. And again, this is what you as managers are going to be working in order to utilize the footage. Take images from the footage that we garner during our drives or walks. And you're going to use the software in order to create notices, violations, work orders, etc. So what we're going to take a look at in the software today are dashboards for the user, for the community. We're going to look at inspection schedule, how we set up the driver the walk inspections, and show you how you can access those. We're going to take a look at basically the most important piece of today, which is where you'll be mostly spending your time in our software, which is our view inspections tile, which is really going to, again, give you the glimpse of the footage of, the videos that are captured by our team. And then we're going to take a look at how we can update and provide information for each individual community that we manage within our community profile in the software. And then the last thing we're going to talk about is how we're going to create reports within the software from what we do when we create notices. Please excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold, so I might be coughing here and there. My apologies. 1 second. Sorry about that. So I will try to keep this very brief, just for the purposes of today. So I know that you have not spent time in our software yet or seen a video. So what we want to do is obviously make it very simple and straightforward today, because whenever we do get you guys into the software, you'll have more questions at that point. I'm going to pause just for 1 quick second. My sincerest apologies, guys. It's hard to have a cold and have to talk all at the same time. So, okay, I'm going to switch my screen here. Pardon me. And we're going to start by taking a look at our user dashboard. So whenever you guys get logins for our software, you are going to be first taken to a user dashboard. This user dashboard is going to have, excuse me, pardon. This user dashboard is actually going to have all of the communities that each individual manager will have access to. So when the user arrives after logging into the user dashboard, they'll see a number of tiles here. Excuse me. And these tiles are actually what you're going to do. You're going to click on each one of the individual tiles to access individual communities that you're managing. Another overview on our dashboard here. As you can see, we've got some tabs along the side. These tabs are going to help you navigate the user dashboard. So you've got some options to look for notifications. Notifications primarily for you are going to be when you get alerts for videos that are uploading and videos that are ready for viewing. In your My Profile section, this is your kind of standard profile area where you're going to be able to update your information. You'll be able to change your password if need be. You can customize this in a number of ways. Hang on one second. Okay, and then you're also going to see user calendar and a training tab. I do want to highlight the user calendar momentarily, but before I do, I also want to highlight this training tab. This is going to be your go-to section whenever you do finally get into the software and you're beginning to use our system. You're going to probably spend a lot of time in the training tab here, simply just so that you can get yourself kind of up to speed and answer any questions that you might have as they are presented when you're starting to use the system. So I'll open this up very quickly so that you can see the resources that are available to you under the training tab here. Primarily, you're probably going to be utilizing this comprehensive user guide. This link here will bring you to a tabbed overview of everything as far as features that are within our software. This is obviously pretty lengthy. It's not light reading, but it is a really great resource for you whenever you do get into the system and you've got questions. You can easily navigate to any specific topic here in the tabs, and you'll very likely get your answers to your questions. I will note that I am going to be your training resource as you guys get fully onboarded through this process. So if you do start by coming to your training tab and you've got questions and you feel like you've got some answers, but you still have some questions, I'm going to be that resource for you. So I really would encourage you to reach out and let me know if there is something here within the training guide that's not just cutting it in terms of giving you information and getting you feeling confident. So reach out to me with additional questions. So again, user dashboard, you've got all of these functionalities here. Some of the functionalities you're seeing on my screen are actually part of admin access and not typically visible to manager level access. So you probably, once you get your login, will not see upload clients, inspection calendar, or user management, only if you've got admin access. We will talk more about admin access at a later training date, but suffice to say, generally speaking, the manager level access is going to include these tabs: training, user calendar, my profile, notifications, and dashboard, and that is it. Okay, any questions on your user dashboard before I move on? Okay, well, so I wanted to move on next to your community dashboard. So once on your user dashboard, once you have determined which community you want to view, you'll click on that community and then you'll be taken over immediately to your community dashboard. This area here is robust. So again, I want to just be as brief as possible today and give you the highlights and get you to the places where you as a manager are probably going to be spending the majority of your time. So what we're going to do today is highlight 4 areas: view inspections, inspection schedule, violation history, and community profile. So that's where we're going to spend the remainder of our time together today. But again, questions, anything like that, please feel free as we move through these different tiles. Please feel free to stop me, raise your hand, holler at me. We'll get your questions answered. So the first thing I want to highlight today on our community dashboard, again, your community dashboard is where your community, the specific community that you're reviewing footage for, has all of its information, all of its videos. It's all stored in this location. First place is, let's go to inspection schedule. This is primarily a place where you're going to view what drives have taken place in a calendar view and what drives are going to come up in the future. So you'll have links. You'll notice as you kind of scroll through different months of your inspection calendar for your community, you'll have different months where you've got links and labels on that calendar. Generally speaking, when you see a link, that means that it's either a drive that's already been completed or a drive that's going to be scheduled and will be completed in the future. So anything that's highlighted in blue is a drive that's been completed. You're able to click on that link and it will take you actually straight away to the video for that specific drive. Melanie, did you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering if can a manager request that a drive is done on a particular date? For example, if the garbage day is Friday and we want to make sure that garbage can violations are noted, would we be able to have that ability to ask for that specific date?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, as far as our onboarding process is concerned, that's one of the primary things that we garner in terms of information from you as a client. We say, hey, what are those special request days? What are the trash days? What are the things that we need to avoid? So our onboarding team will be in communication with you about those specific special requests. So yes, we can absolutely avoid the drive on a trash day, for example. No problem. Yep. So again, your user calendar here will be something that you can reference at any point when you want to understand, okay, when were the drives completed? How can I access those drives? And also, when will the drives in the future be completed? So your calendar will be updated on a monthly basis. So just keep that in mind. You can view everything from the previous months, and then at a month at a time, you'll be able to see what's upcoming for the following month. So let's move on to view inspections. So this is another area where you're going to have the access, the link, the direct link to view the videos that our team produces for you and then is visible to you. You have access to. So when you do get an alert, and you will be notified via email that your video is ready for viewing, once you get that email, you'll be able to come in here, click on View Inspections, and be taken again to a drive list where you can select the drive that you want to view the inspection for. So super important that you do, make note of the drive. Okay, I would like to view this one, say October 20th, or, I'm looking to view the drive here for April 21st. You make sure that you select the view inspection button for the specific drive date you want to view. And once you've selected that particular drive, you'll be taken to your property inspection dashboard. So I'm going to actually move over here onto this particular screen and start showing you and giving you some tips, tricks, and hints here on this particular drive inspection screen. This inspection screen is something that you will, for the most part, it will look almost identical to what you're seeing here today on my screen. The one caveat to that is if you're just opening up a drive for the very first time and have not previously viewed it, this area over here on the left, this is actually called excuse me, your quick view toolbar. This quick view toolbar will be here, but you will likely not have any snapshots as you see here on my screen. So that's just something to bear in mind. Until you start viewing a video and create violations within this inspection dashboard, you will have no snapshots on the left. Once you start creating the violations or the work orders and you save them, they will be loaded over here on this quick view toolbar. So that's just something to note.
So it should actually.
Was that a question, Nancy? No? Okay. So I'll move on. So your quick view toolbar here is actually quite functional for you. And once you do start making, creating violation notices or work orders, again, they'll pop up over here. But what I want to highlight before I move on to these snapshots here are some of these tools. First and foremost, you've got some icons here you'll see that are color coded. These are actually ways to filter what notices you do create for this particular drive. So let's just say I've been creating violation notices and or work orders within this drive, and I want to just review the violation notices within this particular drive. I can toggle off all of these other types of inspections and just have a quick view of all of the violations that I've created for this drive. If I wanted to just see landscape work orders, I can toggle off those others and just see the landscape. Same for maintenance work orders. We do have some upcoming functionality for streetlight work orders. It's not quite, we're in the beta version, not quite done with that yet, but we will have some functionality in the near future for streetlight work orders. So we'll provide some information about when that feature is accessible to you. You do have the option as well at this point to create security work orders. I can give you some more information on that if it's applicable toward the end of this specific training on our view inspection dashboard. The other feature I do want to point out quickly here is this button on the quick view toolbar for review violation notices. As you're creating violations within the system while watching videos, again, they're going to pop up here in quick snapshot view. And then you have the ability to review the notices that you've created for that specific drive. When you click the button, you get a pop-up. You're able to finalize and send those notices straight from that button if you want, or you have the ability to download draft letters. It does have a draft watermark on there, so it could be useful if you're wanting to share the violations you've created with your manager, or perhaps it's board members or committee members. There's quite a bit of functionality here with how you process the violations that are created. So just keep that in mind. We also have some quick tools as well here. When we click on that review violation notification button, we also have the ability to edit or delete, or even send straight from here in the fashion that we've identified any violations on this list. I got a question from Sierra, and it's, will the violations sync with, it appears like you're asking for Condo Manager, which is your accounting software. Yep. So whenever we spoke with Paul last, what we determined was that at this time, what you guys are going to probably do is create violations within our system. And I'm going to show you that next. And then you're probably just going to, because we do not have, at this point in time, we do not have integration with Condo Manager. What you're probably going to do is just download the snapshot of the violation that you create, and then you're going to move that snapshot over into Condo Manager in order to create the violation there. Now, there's probably going to be some, discussion back and forth until you guys really zone in and identify a process that's going to be easiest for you. But at this point, again, based on my conversation previously with Paul, that's more than likely how you guys are actually going to process the violations that are identified within our system. It looks like Janine has a question. Yes, Janine?
We were told that when we switched over to this platform that whatever stage violation we were on would be transferred here. Would what's point in the process is that done? We work with your team, or how does that work?
Yep. So that's correct. So what we're going to do is we're going to help you guys pull down the information on the current active violations from your system, and then we're going to input them in here. Now, bear in mind, excuse me, that will be helpful, just to have that reference point. Okay, yes, I can see that, 1595, Blue Jay Street did have a previous violation for, let's just say, street parking. And then from, our side of the system, you would be able to, you see that, know that then it would need to be escalated. If within a video you saw that that was a continuing violation, you'd be able to escalate that within our system. But again, my understanding is that you guys are not going to be using really kind of the broadest depth of functionality that we have within the system because of that lack of integration currently with Condo Manager. So you'll have the visibility and the access to see what previous violations are in the system for, whatever's going on within your communities at this point. But it's not like you're going to be in our system escalating them there. You're going to have to pull that data down, i.e. the picture from the violation that you create in our system, and then you'll upload it anyway into Condo Manager. Does that make sense, Janine?
Yes.
Okay. And again, it's really kind of a lot of this stuff is going to be difficult to grasp until you are actually in there and you're working in the system. And then you guys have identified or solidified a process for your functionality, for what works best for you and your systems. So just bear that in mind. And then it might be tweaked as well, just based on, how well that functionality is working for you guys. But we can help you get to the place where it's working to its fullest potential, or to the potential that you guys want it and need it to. And we'll show you how to do that as you guys evolve using the system. So moving on from our quick view toolbar over here, we'll highlight some other things over here as we work in the process now of creating a violation. I do want to just make note that there is a couple tips, things that I would suggest when viewing videos right off the bat. Number one is, if you're the manager going to be reviewing these videos and looking to identify violations, I would suggest you do so using a mouse versus the trackpad on your laptop. The main reason for this is that you're going to have more functionality with your mouse, a little bit better control over the video viewing screen. The trackpads on laptops do tend to be exceedingly sensitive. So we have found with other clients that it is a little bit more difficult to watch and control the video view. So that would be my first tip. Number one, get a mouse, use a mouse also with a roll ball. The roll ball is actually very, very helpful because the roll ball allows you to zoom in and zoom out with quite a bit better ease. So that's just one other tip, functionality wise. The other tip is, when you're ready to view your video, first step is, when you pop into this screen, immediately what my recommendation would be is to pause your video. It will start rolling as soon as your screen opens. So the first step is, make sure to pause your video. The other big tip I can give you is, a lot of managers get tripped up on this. You do not need to use your play pause button on this video screen to start and stop your video. You actually can play and pause your video by clicking on anywhere on the video screen. And that's just for your ease, so that you can, if you see something really quick, you can quickly stop it so that you're able to kind of manipulate the camera. I'm going to show you how to manipulate the camera next, but before I do, again, for another tip for functionality, you can actually resize this quick view toolbar to make your video viewing screen a little bit bigger. You can get rid of it completely, just like I just did, or you can go into full screen mode. So whatever works best for you, but there are some tools there to help make it a little bit easier for you to view the video. The other tip I will tell you to is right-clicking on your screen, the video screen, will give you some options for keyboard shortcuts. So if you would like to use keyboard shortcuts that might help you with your process of viewing and identifying violations, you've got those shortcuts available. I will bring us back into kind of the larger screen on our dashboard here, just so that we make sure we see all of the functionality as we're trying to review video for creating violations. Okay, so for the purposes of our training today, we're going to just work through a small segment of this particular video and this drive, and we're going to create a violation in the system. Now, bear in mind, again, your purposes may be a little bit different because you may just simply be identifying a violation and then downloading a picture so that you can import that into Condo Manager. But it is worth knowing how to create a violation within our system start to finish. So that way, when there is integration, if you do want to actually use our system to create the violation notices and send from here, then you're able to do that. So number one for here, what we've got is, of course, our video inspection screen. And again, step one is always to go ahead and just pause your video immediately. The biggest reason why I want you to do that is because, as you can tell from over here on our map, you can actually see that this particular community, we've got mapped out. This is the drive route with our blue line, right? And we've got our homes that are they've got labels. They've got labels with the address numbers, right? And so it's important that we, obviously what we want to do is make sure that we're looking at the correct home as we're driving and identifying violations. So step one is pause your video. Step two is make sure that the vehicle, the car, and the angle of this red cone is facing in the same direction as your camera view. So for example, if I move my camera view toward the right, say I'm trying to look at a particular home, I want to be assured that that red cone is also pointing in that same direction and therefore locking in on the correct home. In this case, it's 668 Caterpillar Run. So very important when you first get into your video, again, pause your video, make sure that your red cone on the map is in alignment or in the same position as your camera view. So I've got a question, it looks like from Cheska. If a community is stacked or a condo, hold on, let me pull that up. How will it be mapped and how can we lock in on a specific unit or for a violation? So this is a little bit more complicated, but a condo, essentially, if I'm thinking about it in the same way, I'm hopeful thinking about it the same way as you are. You've got condos that are stacked up one by one over top of the other. So the GPS is definitely, it's nearly impossible to get specific addresses from GPS with a condo. And so in those cases, obviously, we're not driving. If we're doing condos for you and we're looking at units stacked one above another, what we're doing is a walk inspection. And our walk inspections, with those, we have the functionality of really utilizing just the video to be able to identify what unit we're looking at. So as we're walking down a hallway or a corridor, we can tell just from the video, you know, we're passing door number 52. You have it. So from there, we obviously need to utilize the footage and can't really utilize GPS coordinates like we do. These, for the single family home communities, we actually geocode over top of the specific single family homes so that we know that we have the correct address. Does that make sense? Okay, any other questions on that? Townhomes are a little bit different. Townhomes, we are able to geocode like we do with the single family homes. So you will have very similar functionality as you're seeing here with townhomes. So in fact, generally speaking, we can geocode when they're side by side or connected. We can geocode those correctly, and those will align with GPS coordinates. It's condos that are a little bit different, as we said, and those obviously those will be tracked via the video footage. You'll be able to pull and grab address information from that video footage. So let's get rolling with our video. One thing I do want to note before we get rolling is, and very important, is in the beginning, there will be a learning curve watching these videos. I will tell you that the videos, the drivers in the cars, they're actually only going approximately 12 to 15 miles an hour. So they're actually not going very fast. But what we have noticed is a lot of managers newly watching these videos and kind of getting used to the system actually have a little bit of challenge right off the bat with the speed of the video. So let me start by clicking on anywhere in my screen and moving through with this video. Again, some managers might say, "Hey, that's going really fast. How can I tell, if there's anything happening?" Well, two things. Number one, there is a learning curve, and you will get better manipulating your mouse for the camera view. And being able to stop and start this camera, you'll have, I would say probably about 3 to 4 weeks of a learning curve. After watching 1 to 2 videos, you'll probably get the hang of it. But the second tip that I can provide is that we do have the ability to slow down that video footage. So if need be, right in the first maybe 1 to 2 drives, if it's going a little bit faster, it's a little bit of a challenge for you to view, you can slow it down to say half speed, quarter speed, to give you a little bit more time to kind of really review the footage. So that's something just keep in mind. Let's try to go through here now and actually see if we can identify a violation of some kind, and then go through the process of creating the violation. So again, I'll click on that video and I'll say, okay, I think I have identified, well, for this home here on my left, a couple different things, right? We've got some trash cans. Looks like they even have, what is that? 2 basketball hoops, not just 1, but 2 maybe. I maybe need to zoom in to see what I can see. Yep, it looks like I can actually see 2 basketball hoops and none are allowed. So we've actually definitely have identified a couple things with this particular camera view. So for this particular case, I've zoned in on this house. I know that I've created the correct angle when we are locked in with this target here, and we're pointing at the specific house number. So we do know that we are now looking at 687 Caterpillar Run. And so from here, we're going to go through the process of creating the violation. First things first is we'll click on this snapshot or camera button. This is actually going to take us right away to our next screen, which is our photo editing tool. You'll notice right off the bat as well that this photo is time-stamped, right? It's got the date and the time. So there is no dispute when this particular car was sitting in front of this house and noted these violations. A couple different things that we can do here with this particular photo editing tool if we'd like. It's not necessary, but we can if we'd like. First things first is we can fine tune this. Let's say it was a little bit of a cloudy day. We needed a little bit more brightness on this. We can click fine tune, and then we can just adjust that brightness so it's maybe a little bit clearer for us to see what's going on. If we wanted to decorate this and maybe call attention to, let's just say we're going to zone in on the trash cans today. We can create any sort of object to draw attention using any of these tools: Sharpies, arrows, lines, text box. you name it, we can put it on there just to give you a little bit more clarity and help your homeowners understand what the issue is. When we're done marking it up and we're satisfied, we can click done here on the right side of the screen. And what happens now is this particular snapshot appears down below the video screen. You can see it's marked up again with the date and time stamp. We've marked it up. It's ready to go. It's ready to start the process of violation notice creation. Very simple on our system. If you want to do this, you're able to, and it will be stored in our system once you create that notification. It'll be stored in our system, and it will be highlighted on your map. So the next drive, come by this particular location, it will actually have one of these icons that pops up on this map to sort of indicate to you, hey, this was a location that we, had to violate for the trash cans previously. So let's kind of run very quickly through. Oops, looks like Melanie's got a question. Go ahead, Melanie. I think you're muted.
Yep. So I just had a quick question about when we import, to kind of piggyback back on Janine's question earlier, when we give you information about what are outstanding violations already, will they be indicated the same way for the information that was provided to you before we start using the software?
Yes. So anytime that we do pull down information and import it into our system, it will then be visible to you on the map. Okay. The only caveat to that is you have the ability, and I was going to get to this later, but it's a great time to answer this question. But let's just say this was a previous violation from your current system, right? We click on this and simply have the ability to, if we wanted to, we can close this right from here. We could put it on hold. We could set it to close. And then once we do that and submit that, guess what? Now that icon has been removed. So yes, that information that's pulled over will populate on this map. It will be on the map for that particular community. And you'll be able to then, if you want to use our system again, you can then even escalate those that are previous or current violations from your other system.
Great,
okay?
Thank you.
Yep. So from here, let's say now we're satisfied with our photo snapshot and we're ready to create a violation here. What I would suggest is you do run through this process, even if you're not going to send the violation notices from our system. And the reason I do say that is because then you'll have the record in addition in CV360, in addition to the record that you'll keep there in Condo Manager. So it is my recommendation to run through the process as I'm going to show you next. So you've got your snapshot. You can select from a prior violation if you need to escalate it from here. In this case, there were no prior violations, so nothing to select. But for this one, let's say we want to send them a friendly reminder regarding the trash recycle cans and its improper storage. We have the ability to, in the back end of our system, import all of your violation CC&R language types and subtypes. So that information can be put in there for you. So you have the ability to select exactly from your community's language. And of course, the cure periods as well. So any of that can be set up in our back end. So you don't have to do any work or create it if you don't want to. You can actually change the cure period here if you'd like. Let's just say in this case, we do want to just set it to 7 days instead of the standard 30. We can do that. We can select from the different notification types here. Physical mailing is generally set up automatically because most states, there is a statute for physical mailing on violations. So that's generally grayed out, meaning it's going to stay as a created violation that could be like a notice that could be printed out from our system and physically mailed. Although as you're creating it, bear in mind, your guys' system will not be set up to send anything automatically from our system unless you tell it to. So in this case, in your guys' situation, I would always just make sure that all of these are toggled off unless you're absolutely certain that you want to send text and email messages on these violation notices straight from our system in those manners. Your next step too is you're able to, at this point, now that you've created the violation with the language, you can go down and actually visibly see the letter that's created. And in fact, if you wanted to make any adjustments to the letter itself, you can add in any information you want at that point or change any information. You could remove, add, delete. What's nice about this is as you generate this letter from the information that you create up here, any changes that you create to this specific letter will not change any of the global letters for that specific community. So that's kind of a neat feature. You'll notice that the letter that we do create has all of the pertinent information, company name, snapshot of the violation, the CC&R language, the cure date, your closing, your signature, etc. So everything is here for you guys. But again, for your purposes, it might just be you're wanting to just simply download this picture of the violation. And so that way you can move it over into Condo Manager. In this case, my suggestion would be to click on this underneath your snapshot, click on this download and keep function. What happens when you do that, as you probably saw my download created here, what happens is you do get this download that goes straight to your download folder. And I'll show you. You can see here that when I downloaded it, it included in the naming convention the name of the community, the specific address of the violation, and the date and time stamp. So that's another neat feature that we've got, was when you download that information, it's very crystal clear for you exactly what community, what homeowner, what date and time. All of that information is there right in the naming convention of that file. So it's going to be very easy for you to actually move that picture into Condo Manager to utilize in your violations there. Any questions on that? Cool. So after you've created this violation letter, even if you've downloaded and kept it like we just learned, okay, my suggestion is to go ahead and save that violation by clicking the Save Violation button at the bottom. Now, once I do that, it actually clears that snapshot from where we were just working in creating the violation, and then it moves it over to that Quick View toolbar like we talked about earlier. So remember, we talked about how there will be no pictures whenever you first open your drive unless you've already viewed the drive and started creating violations. So now you've created a violation. Now you've got a Quick View snapshot of it right in front of you. A couple things I want to highlight here. We kind of alluded to this earlier. A couple easy things to kind of help you as you're going through the process of creating. The easy buttons that you'll see kind of highlighted, or as you hover over, they'll get a little bit darker. These indicators, right? You've got your address, you've got the violation stage type. For this one is like a friendly reminder or a courtesy notice. This is how it was to be mailed. This one meaning it was, just a physical mailing. This is the violation type, trash and recycle. If I've just created that violation, now again, it's saved, it's noted in our system, but it's not officially sent until we review violation notices and actually finalize and send the violation. Again, side note, be very, very cognizant of the fact that, again, until you tell our system how you want these sent, even if you click finalize and send, it will not actually send a physical mailing, again, unless you've told the system to do that. You guys will not be set up that way, at least initially, maybe down the road, but at least initially, you will not be set up that way. And so even if you click finalize and send, it's not going to send the physical notice to the house, because there's no way to do that unless you've got some sort of, a plan to print the letters and actually physically put them in envelopes and mail them yourself, or if you've got a connection to, say, LetterStream or other mailing service that you can connect to our backend. So clicking finalize and send is actually not going to send those out to the owners. Again, be very, very cognizant of their notification types, for example, text and email though. So in this case, if I were to finalize and send the one that we just created together, it would not notify your owner via text or email because we deselected those options. Now, if in your system, in our system, you have your homeowner addresses and those accounts are associated with phone numbers and emails, and you've selected text and email, when you finalize and send, they will get texted and they will get emailed. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'll go ahead just for purposes of our training today and finalize and send. You'll see that it'll pop up asking you to confirm. You'll go ahead and submit that if you do want to finalize those. And then you'll be brought to our notification center where you can actually download anything that you've finalized and send. Again, in this case, you probably will not, but you may want to preview the PDF and you may want to print it out and you may want to physically mail it, and you're able to do that straight from our system. Now, jumping back over, you'll see actually from our community dashboard, in fact, that you will, let me go back one more. Sorry about that. You'll see that in our quick view toolbar, that violation is still there for that specific drive that we were just working on. Now, I will tell you that once you do finalize and send in our system, okay, again, meaning whether or not you actually physically mail out that letter or you do not, if it's finalized in our system, it is then locked from editing. So we cannot go back in and delete it or edit it once we finalize. Just bear that in mind. So I want to quickly move on to creating landscape and maintenance work orders, because that's another area that might be actually useful for you guys. And the good news is you've basically gone through the entire process of creating a landscape or a maintenance work order. It's almost identical to the process we just went through, with the only exception of you need to ensure, if you want to create a landscape work order, that you've selected this landscape work order tab. And then let's just say you're ready to go ahead and create a landscape work order here. We've got some dead grass. We want to snapshot this. Just like the process we went through, we can mark up this snapshot in any way we want. And then once we've marked it up, we click done. And again, just like before, for our violations, here it is. It's appeared down below, and we're able to go ahead and create a maintenance landscape work order. We select the type of landscape work order we'd like. We can select a priority level. We can select our location and our issue description. We can add information there. But I will tell you, the wonderful thing about creating landscape and maintenance work orders in our system is that you don't have to create or indicate your location for that specific work order. And the reason is, when we pull this snapshot from that video, it's automatically going to include the GPS coordinates for this specific location, where this particular location was identified with the date and time stamp. So when we create this work order here, let me show you what happens. Oops. We will populate a work order down below, just like we did with the violation letter. And you'll notice that the GPS coordinates pop up on that work order. Included as well is a link for directions to the specific location of that coordinate where the landscape issue was identified. So when I click send a work order now down below, not only will it pop over to my quick view toolbar and I'll have access to view that work order that I created, it will actually send the work order immediately to the contacts for your landscape vendors that you have set up in the back end of our system. It will include the GPS location. It will also include that link for that map. Everything you see here will be sent immediately to that vendor. So all they need to do is click on the link for directions to that work order, and they'll be brought straight to this spot, and they'll be able to address any issues there. So that specific landscape work order process is nearly identical to the maintenance work order. So I'll go ahead and move on from there unless there are any questions, but just please understand your landscape and maintenance work order process and the creation of those is, again, pretty much identical and very, very similar to violation creation. Any questions on those?
I had a quick question.
Sure.
Since we're not going to be using this software to send work orders, do you have the same capability of downloading and saving this document? And will the link still be applicable if we copy and paste into our own software?
So, you know what, as far as the link is concerned, yes. The GPS coordinates, yes. Let me double check to see the functionality for downloading this particular photo. So let me create one really quickly again. I do believe we have the capability to do that. Yes, we do have the capability, just like you did with your violation, to go ahead and download and keep that. And again, that would be my recommendation, because whenever you create that order and you download and keep that particular snapshot that you create, it actually goes ahead and creates that icon on the map, and basically it's stored in our system. So again, you can come back the next drive and say, okay, I'm going to check this same spot to see if whether or not that vendor has actually taken care of the landscape issues. So to answer your question, Melanie, yes. Number one, you can download that image. You can send that image straight away to your vendor. And also, yes, you can copy paste your GPS coordinates, and you can get the link for the directions and send that as well to them.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So the last thing I want to highlight here in our video inspection area is the map. We've touched on a lot of these different things as we've kind of gone through the process of creating violations, but one of the things I do want to highlight are these icons on the top of the map. As you can see, you know, we've talked about the icons that appear on the map when you create work orders, when you create violations. Just to kind of backtrack on that, but really quickly, you'll see that the violations and the work orders that have been submitted will appear very bright in color. The ones that are yet to be submitted and finalized will be identified on the map, but they will be kind of translucent until the point that you finalize and send them. So moving up to these icons at the top of the map, what you're going to see are a couple different options, namely this overdraw feature, which is what I had on earlier when you saw all of the address numbers sitting on top of the house. Be my recommendation to keep this overdraw feature on so that it's really very clear as to what house you're looking at. You've got these plus and minus buttons to be able to kind of zoom in, zoom out as you need. It is very helpful as you're kind of trying to look and identify specific homes or double check on homes that have existing violations. The other important feature that I think is, you know, kind of probably most useful is this icon right here. I do have some trouble when I'm sharing my screen of this opening on screen for me, but suffice to say is when you click on this particular icon, which looks like a calendar, you'll actually have a list of dates of the previous drives. So you can actually filter on your map by specific drive dates. So let's just say you do want to check a drive from 2 months ago because you know you had a specific boat violation, what have you. You can go back to that specific drive date and view that specific video and the icons on the map from that specific drive. So you've got some filter options there. You can toggle on and off your filter for map or satellite view. You can change the look of your vehicle if you'd like to, which is just a fun little feature. For example, if I wanted to, let's say, make my car red, I could do that. I could make it a sports car. You've got all sorts of little features there. The final thing that I do want to highlight, which is really important before we move on, is this house and magnifying button, which is our address finder or our search feature. In this particular box, you can type in any address, any homeowner name, and when that name or address pops up below, you simply click on that particular address, and then you will be brought to that point in the video for that specific drive. So let's just say you always have a problem with Mrs. Smith at 123 Blue Jay Drive. You know that more than likely she is going to have another violation for trash cans, and you want to just skip the rest of the video and go straight to Mrs. Smith's house. You do so by using that search feature, typing in Mrs. Smith's name or address, and when you click on that, it'll take you directly to the location or that point in the video. So that's some map features for you. Any questions about what you see here on our video inspection screen? Great. So I'm going to go back to our community dashboard and then finalize our discussion today with these last two tiles. Quickly running through some profile options for each individual community. You can update their profiles in any way by just simply scrolling down to see the options that you've got. So you can do anything from changing the points on the map that your community is driven in. You could change the email notification language. If you want to send notifications via email or text, you can toggle off the global settings for your community here. You're able to go up and change your community or management company logos. Lots of options here. Other important options too, you have the ability to update if you would want to have your violation language in the back end of our system. You have the ability to go in and create it, update it, delete it, edit, you name it, you can do it in here. We can also help you to upload language that's existing if you want. You can absolutely give us that language for your community and we can put it in the back end so it's visible for you. Same with violations. Violation letters, we actually can change the letter status or rankings. We can do so just by moving them. We can edit those letters. We can put in your custom letters in the back end if you'd like. Just let us know. Again, that might not be applicable at the moment, but we do have all of that functionality. We will pull down that address list and have that stored in the back end so that your owner addresses, names, etc. are there. You can make any changes by clicking on that address feature. You can click on edit rooftop addresses if you do need to make any edits to any one particular owner or address. And then you've got a couple different options. Landscaping, I would say, probably might be the most useful for you if you do want to add in landscape or maintenance contact information for those work orders. If you want to send them from our system, all you simply would do would be to add their contact information in the back end here. And that's where those work orders that we just made, that's where those work orders will get sent to. Any questions on your community profile? Cool. Okay, final thing we're going to talk about today is your reporting feature. Now, this is going to be probably very useful for you when you're doing your manager's reports or reports for your board meetings. You're going to be able to actually pull information from our system and show your board exactly what's going on with violations straight from here. So, couple features here. First thing is violation history. At the top, you're going to be able to pull specific reports for individual drives. The more robust reporting feature is down below, and that's this violation database. This is where you're going to actually be able to filter through any and every violation that's ever created in our system in any which way you'd like. You can download those reports. You have a lot of functionality here. What I will tell you is this will be something that you can really get into once you started creating violations in our system and play around with, right? If you just want to see, for example, for your next board meeting, the only thing you want to see are friendly reminders for trash cans. You can simply filter through and just pull up that list of all of the friendly reminders ever sent for trash cans. If you wanted to, just for that specific month, pull up those notices, you can do so by filtering the dates. And you get just the month glimpse. And then you can download that specific table, include it in your board report, whatever you'd like to do. I will tell you that this simple violation history by drive is actually pretty nifty as well, because this is going to give your board a snapshot. It'll show you for that particular drive exactly what happened, how many by percentage and number basketball goals, signage violations, gate violations, play equipment, you name it. We're going to be able to show the board in real time what each drive produced. Sort of visually friendly. And you can actually, same thing as the violation database function, you can go ahead and create a nice little PDF to submit or include in your board packets. That is a brief overview of the most frequently used sections of our software. I'd like to open it up before we close to any questions, and also kind of give you some information about how we can structure another training in the future if you guys would like. So open it up now for questions. Let them rip. Well, good. Okay, that's a good first sign. Hopefully you've got some good tools and easy reminders that you're going to be able to use right away when you first see your videos. What I will tell you is, again, it's a learning curve. Give yourself 2 or 3 drives, about a month's time. You'll be able to kind of, through that learning curve, get your feet wet. And that will actually lead us to a secondary or a follow-up training, because once you get in there and you're actually using the system, you'll definitely have more questions. And I do understand that a lot of this today will go over your head because you've not used it yet, and that's perfectly fine. So if we want to schedule a follow-up training and we actually end up going over all of the same things we did today, again, that would be perfectly fine. It's totally up to you guys, and I'm here to help get you guys feeling really confident and feeling like you're able to utilize it to the best of your ability and to make it useful and workable for you guys. So that's where I'll leave it for today. I will send up a follow-up email. You guys also can use this particular training session that you've recorded for internal purposes, by all means, however you'd like to use that, and you know, resend that out. You're welcome to do so. But I will follow up with today's session, and then I will follow up within about 3 weeks to see if you'd like to set up a follow-up training to kind of help answer any questions that arise. So that's it for today. Any final questions before I part you guys?
Oh, thank you so much, Christina. I know that we've lost a few people because it's a little bit afternoon, but thank you so much for your time. And yeah, once we get into it, I'm sure there'll be additional questions from managers about functionality and maybe best practices and different tips and stuff.
Yes, definitely. And I'm happy to take any questions with my follow-up email. If you want to just shoot me a question back at any point between now and then, you're welcome to do so. But I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you guys so much. It's been a pleasure to meet you and see your faces. And we will follow up.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care.